Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. And for this one, as we're nearing the end of February, which is obviously Black History Month, as I mentioned in previous videos, I thought I would ask the question, like, how do we, as a people and as a society, those who wish to help, I don't want to force anyone to do anything they don't want to do, but how do people who wish to support the Black community in America or even around the world, but especially in America in particular, support Black-owned businesses, banks, and technologists, basically Black people in technology and that kind of thing. So I'd love for people in the comment section to sort of respond to that sort of question, like how do we do so, and to share any suggestions, tips, ideas, or whatever that people have for doing so. So whatever people can think of. Something I was thinking of is like recently I was thinking of, like, in terms of businesses and banking, I suppose, and how they can connect, or even credit unions or whatever, how they can connect venture capitalists, investors as well, and that kind of thing, is that there could be a whole supply chain of so if Black people network together, so they could have groups, summits, conferences, fairs, Black business fairs and things like that, and where they have their own stalls, where they market their own products and things like that. I know they already exist, but maybe there could be more of them, and they could be supported more, and people could share links of Black-owned businesses and banks and whatnot in the comments as well, as but as a sort of supply chain network. So, for instance, Black investors or investors generally being encouraged to invest in Black-owned businesses. I mentioned recently how there could be tax incentives for people, whether Black or otherwise, to invest in Black-owned businesses, startups, SMEs, and even bigger businesses perhaps, or Black-owned businesses generally. And that could be a form of reparations, but also the Black businesses themselves being tax exempt, or at least getting the lowest possible taxes and getting as much support as possible. Again, that could be a form of reparations. It'd be interesting if people shared information about grants, and again, any links, videos, websites, or whatnot, which talk about supporting Black-owned businesses, and again, sharing ideas and networking and that kind of thing. So as a supply chain, the investors investing in Black-owned businesses and supporting them with their finances and things like that, which is important, obviously, when you're running a business, I'm sure, to have finances. What most people talk about, the need to have more credit, to have more money available to invest in products and things like that, and maybe sometimes also advice on how you can start small, scale up, and like bootstrap, so you're not having to spend too much. So you can start with a website rather than a premises, for instance, and then you can grow. But also I was thinking, like, Black-owned hotels, Airbnbs, travel companies, transport links, and that kind of thing, like hotels, motels, Airbnbs and whatnot, could work with restaurants and companies that sell food generally and whatnot, and they could sort of sell each other's products. So Black-owned hotels and motels and Airbnbs and whatnot could sell products by Black-owned businesses. So they have sort of supply chain where they help each other to market and sell their goods, and again, sell each other's goods and things like that, including on their website and that sort of thing. So they could connect to help each other to sell and to do as well as possible to profit maximize, basically. So I hope that makes sense, the supply chain sort of thing. So as I say, a Black-owned hotel or motel or whatever could sell in their restaurant. They could sell the goods from another restaurant which is Black-owned, so they sort of sell each other's goods and as much as possible and things like that, and also on their website, and sort of there could be business directories for Black-owned businesses and things like that. So those are some of the ideas I have. So it's a whole supply chain. So looking at how they can get investments, grants, tax cuts, how they could advise each other, like accountants, how they could advise Black-owned businesses to reduce their tax burden and get tax benefits, or whatever you want to call them, relief benefits, and that kind of thing. And like, as I say, there could be incentives for investing in Black-owned businesses and supporting them financially. Black-owned banks could do so, and there could be more Black venture capitalists and investors generally, so they can invest in each other as well as just investing. Black people learning about investments as well, and supporting Black inventors, ideas people, and whatnot as well. And I'd love to look at ways they could help Black technologists. Now, I don't really like to force anyone, as I say, to do anything they don't want to do. So I don't really want to force companies to have quotas or to have to employ a certain amount of black people or whatever, or any other group. But I think it would be good to give opportunities and access to training for black people and possibly other disadvantaged or often marginalized groups such as disabled people, women, and others who might be underrepresented in tech, and maybe they could network and learn from each other, network together and learn from each other. So I hope that will make sense. I know I do speak a bit fast sometimes and probably don't speak very clearly, but I'd love to know what you think. What do you think about the supply chain network? So could there be a link so that black people have more opportunity to access grants and funding generally for their business, to be able to fundraise, maybe have GoFundMe pages, crowdfunding and things like that, and sort of ways where they could sell each other's goods, as say restaurants, hotels, motels and places like that, selling food from black-owned companies like restaurants and general food caterers. And how can black businesses bootstrap so they don't have to spend more than they can afford, or things like that. So like, for instance, maybe instead of opening up a restaurant premises, they could sell their goods, they could sell their food, in this case, online, food and drinks, and then see how well it goes. And then once they make enough money, they could expand to a restaurant. So opening a premises. So there could be things like that, like advice that people offer to each other and things like that. And I think that covers everything. How do you think there's fair ways without forcing anyone to help, in which black-owned businesses, banks and technologists can be supported? I'd love to know your suggestions, and I'm going to wrap it up. I think I did quite well keeping it fairly short and sweet, but I'd love to know what you think as ever, and I'm out. Peace and love.